Our first two guests spent 4 years chronicling the spread of Islamic extremism in Pakistan. Now they've returned with an unflinching look at the ideological battle tearing apart that nation.
Here to talk about the new documentary, Among the Believers, now showing at the Tribeca Film Festival, are co-directors Hemal Trivedi and Mohammed Naqvi. Welcome to Arise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So this film gives us an unprecedented look at Islamic extremism. What drew you to this project?
So the idea of this film was conceived in 2008. In 2008, I lost a very dear friend in Mumbai terror attacks. And after that, I was so, and these attacks were carried out, the attackers were found to be Pakistani militants. And after this attack, my heart was so full of anger. I was just very angry at the entire country of Pakistan. And then I started questioning my own anger. And I said that it's not fair for me to be angry at the entire country without knowing much about it. So I started digging deeper into it.
Where are you from?
I'm from India.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm from India. And so what happened is, over a period of time, I realized that Pakistan is a deeply divided country. And there's a fringe minority of radical elements who are imposing their way of life on a vast majority of Pakistanis. And the Pakistan's own survival is at stake.
Yes.
And the biggest battle that you see, the ideological battle you see, is in the area of education. So I wanted to document this disparity in the way children are educated in madrasas vis-a-vis schools. And I started filming with the girl and the boy who you see in this film, the girl and there's a boy somewhere. And after some time, we realized that the common thread that both the girl and the boy had was the Red Mosque. They were both students of the Red Mosque. So we had to get inside the Red Mosque. And that's when I collaborated with this brilliant co-director of mine, Mohammed. And since 2010, he's been working on the film with me.
Now, Mohammed, how did you go about getting inside this mosque? And were you ever fearful for your life?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I myself am Pakistani, and I am a Muslim. And when Hemal first approached me about this project, I think we met for one day, and I live between New York and Karachi, because a lot of my other film projects are also based in Pakistan, which is where I'm from. And I guess we hit it off because literally upon meeting me for one day, she handed off all her equipment to me, and off I went. And this was like 5 years ago at this point.
Well, talk about the access. The film gives us first-hand access to some of the key players. There's a great list here, but most notably Taliban spokesperson Abdul Aziz Ghazi. How did you secure an interview with him?
Not just interview, but...
But like,
well, you know,
time.
I mean,
real
like,
access.
he actually doesn't shy away from the camera. I mean, frankly, he's a little bit of a narcissist in the sense that there are a lot of people who do cover him, and he gives interviews to, from foreign media to even domestic media. The difference, of course, was that we didn't just want an interview. We needed to follow him.
Right.
Yes.
And when we first started working on this project, we were working with an all-Pakistani crew. So we had two co-producers who were also from Pakistan on ground. And Musharraf, who was one of our co-producers, he got us our first interview with Maulana Aziz. And I think all of us were very scared.
Yes.
But then, you know, when you have a hot story, sometimes you want to pursue that story.
Oh, yeah, the
And
adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah. And then,
You walk towards the fire, towards the story.
Exactly. And then that kind of supersedes your own fear, and you kind of end up doing some stupid things sometimes. But eventually, that one interview grew. And we ended up following him for so many years that you know, not just on this project, but even on some of my other projects, you build your own relationship with your subject. And I had to find a common ground with this man.
What was the common ground?
Well, for me, specifically, because look, I can go in there, I'll have my own biases against him because I'm a liberal, progressive Muslim. This guy is kind of one of the elements that I feel is really causing my country to divide. So I had to put that all aside because I had to disassociate from that and meet him on a common level field, and that was my own spirituality. And so that was my endpoint with him in terms of
Muslim to Muslim.
Right. Explain to me questions I have about my own faith. Now, of course, I probably won't agree with most of your answers, but it was at least the common ground, which then kind of, from there, we started covering geopolitical and all the other stuff that you see, you know, in the
Let's
film.
take a look at a clip and then discuss some more, okay?
Yeah.
अच्छा आपको तकरीर आती है था तकरीर करूँगा ना तकरीर याद है
أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيम आज देखो शोहदा ने दाद मस्जिद के ऊपर कुर्बानी दिया जूते जूते का इस निजामी जहाद के अंदर नहीं आ सकता अभी जहाज से डाल के भाग सकता है नहीं आ सकता अभी जाके आ सकता है तो गेला डरता है और किसी को कहता है आजा जिहाद करने
That has to
that's
be one of the
chilling.
most chilling moments of the documentary. Did you feel that when you saw that footage?
Well, I was there,
Yeah.
and I remember.
But when this moment is unfolding before your eyes.
I was split. So first of all, I was dumbfounded and scared because here's this really sweet little boy, and he is kind of parroting it out this like vitriolic hate.
Yeah.
The same token, I was very excited because I was like, we have our opening.
Right. Well, tell us, what is it about young people that I guess carries such a devotion for him or to him?
It's because, you know, you have to understand, he says this in the film, that he fills the vacuum that the government has left.
Yeah.
The government has miserably failed to provide infrastructure, education, even basic necessities. And people are so poor and desperate. And here is this guy who provides not only education, not only food, shelter, lodging, but also a ticket to heaven.
That's true.
So
And
it's from a hopeless place, obviously.
yeah.
these people are monsters, but they're also incredibly charismatic as well.
Exactly. I mean, when I was editing this film, you know, a lot of times I would go through hours and hours and hours of interview. A lot of times I found myself being convinced about his ideas. And then suddenly he would say something and I was like, oh my God, he just manipulated me. And I could feel it.
Yes.
And obviously, if you're young and impressionable with not many options in the world, it's easy to be seduced by someone like this.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, you both have personal experience with Islamic extremism. Can you talk about it, each of you?
Well, I grew up in Mumbai, and there have been several terror attacks in Mumbai and India, but the biggest terror attack that happened was in 2008 when
Your friend.
Yeah, when my friend died. It was an attack in a hotel. There were a couple of hotels. They took the entire city by siege, and the gunmen came and they just shot people in cold blood. And a lot of times, you know, when the attacks would happen, the terror attacks would happen, I would just disregard them because I'm not a very political person. I do not indulge in politics as much, you know. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, you know. I would let it slide. Right. But when my friend died, I felt like I was just so angry, and anger was my first emotion. And later on, it was only later on, after a lot of learning, that my anger got turned into empathy. And that's a transformation that I want the audiences to go through when they see this film. Because it's not, we cannot paint the entire community, the entire society with the same broad stroke of brush, because that would just worsen the problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And what do you hope the takeaway is after viewers see this?
Well, for me, what was really important, and I think one of the reasons that I was excited to work with Hemal on this project, was that it just not be another black and white polemic on Islam. Because like any religion or community, there's a whole spectrum of ideology and spiritual beliefs. And I think the vast majority of Pakistanis and the progressive or moderate, whatever word you prefer, Muslims who are not extremists, who are not militant, their voices never really get represented in the media. And I thought it was very important to feature them because if we are to win this war of ideologies or find common ground, it has to be among the believers.
Yes.
And it has to be within the Muslims themselves. And as a Muslim, I thought it was really imperative that I achieved that and we achieved that.
Well, thank you both for coming. Currently at Tribeca, when will it be available for general release?
We are talking to distributors. We have a lot of offers. We're not allowed to talk about that right now.
We're working on it.
We're working on that.
But there will be something for us all
Oh,
to
there
see.
is.
Yes,
There
of
will
course.
be. Yeah.
Great.
We're planning a theatrical release as well, and we're planning a North American release and worldwide release.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty soon in the next 6 or 7 months. Just I can't tell the details.
It's okay. You'll have to come back and
Yeah.
tell us.
Yeah.
But thank you both so much for being here, and keep fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
And you're watching Arise Entertainment 360.